accomplished entrepreneur and renowned operator in technology, innovation, and business strategy. Currently serving as head of innovation at Mid-America Transplant USA, he has made a significant impact on the U.S. transplant industry through his commitment to excellence and groundbreaking initiatives. With over 15 years of experience, Ibrahim has a deep understanding of systems, processes, design, development, and automation. He has consistently delivered high-impact solutions across industries globally, leaving a lasting mark on the businesses he has worked with. Beyond healthcare, Ibrahim is deeply engaged in financial wellness and coaching, productivity, venture capital, and strategic investments. An alumnus of the Wharton School of Business at the University of Pennsylvania and UC Berkeley's Haas School of Business, he brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise to his endeavors. He is the author of Two Sides of a Coin, A Tale of Self-Awakening and Personal Growth, and Thrill of the Hunt, his latest book on the power of a dream and enjoying the process. Outside of work, he is passionate about financial wellness, productivity, global food security, and improving healthcare systems. He enjoys reading, exploring new cuisines, fishing, and the occasional round of golf with friends. Global Impact Church, Maryland, please welcome Ibrahim Jr.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Global Impact. Thank you, Pastor Femi, for having me again. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, KJK. Thanks, babe, for being here as always. Today we have about 20 minutes to rumble, and we're going to take some questions. So today is going to be a lot different than what we did last week. Last week was introduction, and today we're going to go a little deeper. Who's ready to go deeper? Okay. So I had a session all prepared, but last night I told babe, after we visited my sister and we got home, and I was like, you know what? I'm ready. So I went into my home office, and I think in about 15 minutes I came out and I was like, yeah, we're ready. So I'll do a little bit of recap, and then we'll go in today. There's some scary times coming ahead, okay? Let's start with that. Scary times are coming ahead. And the goal of the session today is for us to prepare for those scary times. If Pastor Femi was here now, Pastor Femi would say, the reason why God will reveal something is so we can pray and prevent it. Do we all agree that's what Pastor Femi would say? Yeah. We're here to say that some dangerous things are about to happen in the economy, and a lot of shifts are about to happen, and we need to prepare. Who is ready for that? So like I said, it's not going to be fun like last week. All right, come on, people, let's smile. Last week we talked about 10 different things. I gave us about 9 secrets that I wish I knew earlier, and we all dived in and we talked about it, and it was all fun, right? We talked about avoiding lifestyle creep. We talked about that, right? We all remember that. As your income increases, your lifestyle changes, things that weren't normal, things that you don't want to spend on. It just happens naturally. Watch out for lifestyle creeps. We also talk about investing intentionally. We also talk about the difference between good and bad debts, even though we didn't really dive into talking about debt. We talk about building financial system as the bedrock of actually making changes and sustainable impacts. We all trust ourselves enough that, hey, we're good with managing money. I'll remember to pay that bill. I'll remember to do this. But the truth is, we're humans. And at our best, we are flawed. Do you all agree? Yes. All right. We also talk about setting up emergency funds, which is very important. It's not when it happens. It's not that if it happens, it's about when it happens. We also talk about the importance of financial literacy, how knowledge can empower you to make some different decision and better decision. Also, we talked a little bit about the power of compounding interest, and also we talk about mindful spending, differentiating between needs and wants. Is this thing I'm about to purchase, is it a need for me, or is it a want? Also, we talked a little bit about generosity and stewardship. We talk about money being a current, it flows towards you, and a lot of us actually fight against the currents. The goal is not to fight against the currents. The goal is towards swim with the tides, because the currents will be heavy. As with all people who sail knows that when you go to the ocean to sail, there are times where the current is heavy. You know when to dip in and when to stay on the shore. You know when to go in so deep and when to what? Withdraw yourself. That's the whole purpose of money and how it works. Today, for a text, we're going to talk about Genesis 41. You know, it's real when you go to the Old Testament, right? Genesis 41. We all know the story. I'm not going to read it. It's a story we all know about. It's a story of Pharaoh, how he had this dream about some dream. Some cows comes to eat the others, and the other comes to eat the other. And he was very confused, right? How many of us feel confused right now about where the economy is today? I'm here today to be very real with us, because we are humans, and a lot of changes are happening, and if we're not prepared, we're going to look at the time 7, 10 years ahead and be like, what happened? How did I miss it? But when God sends a revelation, it's our job to actually prepare and position ourselves so we can go ahead. I love what the Bible reference that Pastor Tayo gave here, that God is interested in us being wealthy. Pharaoh had a dream. Some lean cow were eating the fat cow. He was very confused. He needed the meaning of that. Joseph came. Not only did Joseph interpret the dream, Joseph also did what? Put a plan in place. Here's the problem. A lot of us stop at the point of interpreting the dream. Are we tracking? Like I said, it's not going to be as fun, okay? But we'll all smile at the end. A lot of us focus on the what? The interpretation of the dream. A lot of us get carried away by the dream itself. A lot of us focus on the situation, the economy, that we don't actually put a plan in place that will save our last name. What Joseph did when he interpreted that dream for Pharaoh, not only did he present the dream or interpret the dream, it actually presented a blueprint of this is what the next 7 years is going to look like, and this is what we need to do, and this is how we're going to come ahead of the storm coming. There is a storm coming. My job here is to show us some of the things I am doing to prepare for the next 7 years to determine my outcome for the next 20 or 30. There are a lot of signs around us today that are pointing to a storm coming. Inflation is rising. Do we all agree? Do we all feel it? The market is fluctuating. Last week alone, in my investment account, I lost over $20,000. And in a day, I made it back. I didn't make any changes. It just shows the fluctuations that is happening. Sometimes I choose not to go and look, because after I look, I'm like, oh boy. Are we tracking? There's a lot of looming financial uncertainties for everyone. But like Pharaoh's dream, these signs are not meant to scare us, but they are meant to what? Prepare us. So what I want to challenge us with today is preparation. What did I say? Preparation. 2025 to 2032 is going to be a very great year for you. I wish you'd have waited till I said the last statement before you said amen. But, depending on the preparation you make, God has so much blessed us with a lot. Wisdom, insights, financial wealth. But the problem we have is managing what God has given to us. One word I like using a lot about my money is I'm a steward of the money. Every dollar should count. Told my wife, if you see me walking funny or standing at this spot, there's a reason why I'm just standing here. So she's been on my case to go to the gym for the last number of years. You all remember last week I said I paid for subscription for almost a month. I was paying 150 something and I never went, right? Well, I went one time and I didn't go back, right? So I decided myself to go to the gym yesterday. Oh, it's worse. I got there yesterday morning. I woke up very early, 8 a.m. in the morning. You see how determined I was? 8 a.m. in the morning. One Life Fitness. Got there. Got in. I was on the treadmill. It was fun on the treadmill. I went on the rower. It was fun. Then we're in a church. This guy, all built out and everything, he had his weight on him, and he was doing this. And I was carrying some weights myself. I was on 25. Don't judge me, okay? I was doing this. And this guy had a 45 and a 55, and he was like, and then it felt like he was judging me. You know? Like, it was looking at me like, come on, dude. What are you doing? The foolish me, I fell for the baits. So the competitive guy in me came out. I was like, let's do it. So I carried my weights, 45. I didn't go from 25 to 30 or 35. I went. And the guy knew that, okay, you want to show off. Now, mind you, this guy is well built. And then I was going on and on and on and on. And at a point, I was like, this guy will be the death of me. So instead of going to do cool down or anything, I just dropped the weights and went up straight. I sat in the car for about 5 minutes. I couldn't move my arm. I got home, I told my wife this story. But I tell this story because this is the story of every one of us. We see Abraham drive this car. Abraham buys this. And we all want to be like Abraham. Or we see Elon Musk, or we see this other celebrity do this, do that. And we all want to be them overnight. Not knowing that this guy that is all built and everything, he's probably been going to the gym for about like 10, 15, because it was well built, and you can tell that this guy is well built. And overnight, I wanted to, the U.S. economy is expected to experience a deceleration in growth. The real GDP is increasing by 1.9% in 2025 and 1.8% annually from 2027 to 2035. What this means is the next 5 to 7 years, there will be a lot of slowness in the economy. Are we tracking? Like I said, I'm not sharing this to scare us. I'm sharing this for us to position ourselves well. When 2008 happened, when COVID happened, a lot of people took advantage of those. Why? Because they were what? Prepared. Inflation is projected to be 2.9% at the end of 2025. Your job will give you 3.5%. You think you got a raise? No, you didn't. Just being real with us, okay? Inflation is expected to grow for the next 7 years at an average of about 3%. So what this means is your purchasing power over time will what? Reduce. Like I said, I'm not sharing this to scare us. We have 7 minutes. This is the one that scared me the most. As of January 2025, personal savings rates in the United States stood at 3.6%, lower than 8.4% historically. The national debt is rising. The projection is going to be at 1.9 trillion in 2025 and 2.6 trillion in 2033. What this means is higher taxes for the lower and middle class. There was, who got that message? Okay. There was a recent study that says 52% of Americans feel they're financially worse now than they did in 2020, and this was from January 2025. How do you prepare for the next 7 years? I'll give us 5 quick things, 5 quick thoughts. 1, diversify your streams of income. Diversify your streams of income. Start a side hustle. Commercialize your talents. Commercialize your what? Your talents. Commercialize your skills. Buy a business. There are a lot of business available out there that you can buy. A lot of baby boomers are trying to what? Retire. And a lot of them have spent their time and their livelihood building businesses. You pay for it and you walk into already profit-making business or businesses. Go to a website like bizbuysell.com. Evaluate, look at their numbers. Buy a business. It's not as expensive as you think. You only need to put about 10 to 20% down. Okay? SBA will actually front you for the rest. A lot of private investors will give you financing for it. Okay? You just need to be able to demonstrate you have the 10 to 20% down. Are we tracking? Like I said, I'm not scaring us. Explore freelance work. Do freelancing. You know how to make hair. You know how to freelance. You know how to put together an outfit. Put it together. You can be a lifestyle. You can be a coach. Whatever you can do, put it together. This is not the time to be reactive. This is the time to be what? Proactive. Are we tracking? Look into passive income. Invest into real estate. How many of us know we can invest in real estate with $100? Do we know that? There are a lot of REITs available out there where you can just, they're trying to build a commercial property and they're getting funds from everyone and pulling funds. You can actually invest $1,000. You can invest $100 in real estate. Joint venture. Remember the African proverb? You want to go far, go with a lot of people. You see an investment property cost how much? Say $200,000. If you have 10 people in this church that comes together with how much? $20,000. Have we not paid out for that house? Yes, we have. And in less than 3 months, we distribute the profits evenly. We don't need to be in business together for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. We can do a quick deal, get that return, and move forward. Are we tracking? Stop thinking about yourself only. Work with other people. Two things, invest for the long term. Stop looking at today. Invest for the what? The future. I'll give you an example. Micro investments. Those $20 you spend on what? On coffee. I'll give you an example. This morning I said, I'm so exhausted, I need something to jolt me up. I had 2 sips of coffee in the car from Starbucks. I paid $6 for it. $6 whole dollars. You know when I said last week, if you invest $100 a month, at the end of 65, for 25 years, you have about $1 million, right? Do you know that $100 is achievable if you think about it? $20 every week times 4, or $25 times 4. Isn't that $100? It's easy for you to spend $25 a day, correct? It's easy for you to spend it without thinking twice. Why not just take that $25 and put it into S&P 500 or Robinhood every week? Tell them to take it from your account every week. That way, effortlessly, you're investing. Are we tracking? Maximize your contributions to your 401k and Roth IRA. This is not the time to be passive. This is the time to be what? Aggressive. You know, putting money in your Roth and your 401k is a tax-saving measure. We all know that, right? Because it lowers your what? Your income brackets. Because they only tax you on the remaining. Are we tracking? Diversify your portfolio. The S&P 500 index fund is still a strong place to put your money in. Are we tracking? Explore real estate and other appreciating assets. Gold bars are actually appreciating assets. I hope you know that. 3, in no particular order, okay? This is how we prepare for the next what? 7 years. We have 1 minute and 30 seconds. Build a strong emergency fund. Build a strong emergency fund. Save at least 3 to 6 months of living expense. It's not about when the emergency happens. It's not about if it happens. It's about what? When it happens. Stay informed and adaptable. A lot of us are informed, but we are not what? Adaptable. Markets are shifting. Economy is shifting. Government is shifting. What does that mean for yourself? Shift. Action item. Review your budgets. Adjust your budgets. Stay updated on economic trends. Consult with a financial advisor. You know it's free, right? You know it's free to work with a financial advisor? You don't know? It's free. You can sit them down and say, put up a plan for me for the next 30 years, I want to retire. They'll do it for free. Yeah. I have 2 financial advisors. One of them was strong enough to take me to where I was, I think, about 3 or 4 years ago. Then now that we're ready to take the next step, he doesn't have the capacity to. Are we tracking? Work with a financial advisor. Sit down and just say, if I want to retire in 30 years or in 25 years, what do I need to start doing today? The next 7 years presents opportunities and challenges for us to prepare and determine our financial security. Start the work today. Is it going to be easy? No. Remember what we said last week? If you live like no other today, you're going to live like no other in the future. Only a child throws tantrums. Only a child wants it now. Are you a child? Financial success isn't about luck. It's about habits. Change your habits and you change your future. Thank you so much.
Come on, can we do better than that for Mr. Abraham this morning? He's not done. He's just taking the breather. What he didn't do at the gym yesterday, so he's taking the breather. He's not going home. That was awesome. All right, we're going into Q&A now, and we're going to have the QR code on the screen. I apologize for all the movements. It's for the establishment of the kingdom. We have 30 minutes for questions and answers, and as always, we have like starter questions here, but the idea is to, in real time, be able to pull out questions from the house. And so we have the QR code on the screen. If you scan that QR code, some of us had done that last week, it would take us to a Slido page, and then you can just put in your questions. We'll get it here in real time and take as many as we can. So can I just step out for everybody to get it? Yep, and that's it. I think it's okay to invite Mr. Ibrahim up stage again. One more time, sir. Can we invite Mr. Ibrahim? And please take your seat, sir. Make yourself comfortable.
Oof.
Is it okay to say feel at home?
The pressure is real.
All right. Can everybody hear us good? It's loud and clear. All right, cool. So let's just get straight into it. As I've realized from experience in panel sessions like this, time flies really quick. First question. I believe personally, and I believe you believe that as well, that financial wellness is intricately tied to the habits that we have. And the human condition defaults towards bad or unhelpful habits. So those who build good habits build against the odds. So the question is, what are some of the habits you've noticed in your experience as a, I'm just going to say financial advisor, not that that's what you're about for the purpose of this conversation. What are some of the top 3 habits that you've noticed that derail people's finances, and how can these be mitigated? I know you talked on some last week and this week, but if you could drive deep into it today, that'd be helpful.
3 habits. So I call myself financial wellness coach.
Okay, so financial wellness coach.
Okay.
It is.
3 habits. One is our relationship with money. Okay? Like you mentioned earlier, a lot of us have thought that money is this big thing, if that makes sense, from our background and all of those things. But I see money as a tool. So first thing is change your relationship or perception about money. That's one habit to have. The second habit is change your relationship with debt. Number 2. Number 3 is change your lifestyle. A lot of us, can I go a little? Oh, yes. Okay. A lot of us, because of where we come from, I always make this joke that I play in my financial journey. I play this catch up and this balance between 2 personalities. There's times where I'm like, oh, you know what? I'll stay on this budget thing. I'm just going to stay on it. I'm going to be very strict with my money. All the time, the Nigerian in me just don't know how to help it. Are we tracking? And it's real. It is very real. Guess what I did? I pulled away from a lot of Nigerian people.
Oh, wow.
Are you tracking with me?
Did that help?
Oh, absolutely. I'll tell you why I did. As much as you think you're strong and you can manage pressure, the people you have around you will contribute to that. So if they are always showing off, buying all these luxury things, premature with their spending, don't take account for it, it's easy for you to just flow in there. Wow. So I made a decision. If I come to your party only once or whenever you invite me, right, that here's the pressure on me. I have nothing against them. Are you tracking with me? It's about me, my future, and my last name. It's the truth. But when I got comfortable in that I don't care what you think about me.
Come on now.
You say I'm stingy? Oh, okay. You'll be fine. It's my money. Are we tracking? Last week I talked about having generosity funds, right? Yep. Once I hit my generosity limit, no matter what happens, I'm sorry. Because if the shoe were on there, if the circumstances flip, who did you help with your money is what you will hear.
Wow. Thank you for that. So are you saying, just to drive a bit deeper, that relationships are irreversibly tied to your financial wellness?
Oh, absolutely. You are who you hang out with. If the majority of people you're close to all dress in a certain way, right, you find yourself dressing in that way. It's that simple. Like, if all your friends are always dressed in luxury items head to toe, you would not want to be the odd one in the group. Do we all agree?
Yeah.
You see your pastor dress, sorry, Pastor Femi, I'll put you under the bus. I'm sorry. You see your pastor dressed in a certain way, before you blink twice, you start seeing yourself dressing like him. You start seeing yourself modeling yourself according to him. So if the people you surround yourself with are not people that have great financial value and are good stewards, right? You see yourself just being like them, even though it means you're going in debt to be like them. Wow. I could tell stories about that too.
Oh, wow. So, I get that. So you have like friendship debt because of the behavior.
Oh, no, there's even a flip side of it.
Okay, can you talk more about that?
And the flip side is you have a friend who is actually doing well. Are you tracking? And then you're trying so hard to be like him, but he has enough income to live that lifestyle, but you don't. And you are trying to be like him. And no matter how long you try, he'll keep going high, and you keep struggling with nothing to show for it. That's the word there. That is the word there. Financial suicide, yes.
All right, we have questions coming in. Please keep the questions coming, and we'll just take as many as we can. So let's move away from habits and zoning into one habit you've talked about, which is savings, right? And I know last week you had said you can't save into financial wellness, but you invest towards it. But at least if you're not good with savings, it might be difficult to get into investments, right? So it's one step after the other. But sometimes, if we're going to be honest, right, it almost seems, and I use that word very carefully, it almost seems like it's impossible to save when money comes in, and you've even done the budget that you advised us to do. We did that. But when we looked at the budget and the income, it's just like the basics, nothing flamboyant, right? So what do you advise for people in a situation where we're not going above, but the basics, the income can't just cover the basics? What advice do you have for people in that bracket?
I have a story to tell. This is something happening recently, okay? I have a young lady who is currently in the process of buying a house right now. I'll go back to your question, but I wanted to start with a story. And we were talking, so I also help advise people on buying a house, how much can you afford? We talk about it, right? So, and she saw this house she loves so much. But I have a rule: when you buy a house, don't spend more than 35% of your income. Or when you rent a house, don't spend more than 35% of your income. Once you do that, the house owns you, if that makes sense. Because if things happens, there's nothing you can do. That's why the bank will only have, pre-approve you for how many percent? 35 to 45%, right? So I have that rule, 25 to 35%. So she loved this house so much. It's a townhouse in Ellicott City. New house is going to cost her about $625,000. But she could only afford $2,800 every month for rent. But everything would come about to $3,600 for her, or $3,700. She was like, I don't know what to do, Abraham. I was like, the numbers is not making sense. If I give you a recommendation right now, you won't do it. She said, what do you mean? So we sat down, and I said, can you live in the basement of this house and rent out the rest of the 3-bedroom upstairs?
The house she bought?
The house she bought. Because that's the only way she can afford it.
Wow. Don't play.
Guess what? She said yes. She said yes. Are we tracking? That shows that when you say the basics and everything is covered and it's not flamboyant, if you really want to save,
you can go lower
we
than
can
that.
make it we can make it work.
Wow.
She's closing this month.
You know when you said a question and you're like, he can't find an answer for this one. And not only did he find an answer, he has a story to back it up. All right, let's go on. Can we celebrate Mr. Ibrahim for that? Okay, so the next phase is we want to start talking about investments, and all the questions, literally all the questions that have come in are tied to investments. So let's start with, someone is asking, between Roth IRA and the index life insurance, if given the opportunity to choose one, which would it be and why?
Okay. Trouble, huh? I'm going to stir the pot a little bit. I call myself a certified troublemaker, okay? I like to stir the pots.
Apart from the financial wellness coach.
You know. I don't know if we have anyone in-house who is selling Universal Index, okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to tread carefully. I do not believe in Universal Index for folks that are not comfortable yet. Are you tracking with me? It doesn't benefit you. It takes so much away from you every month. Are we tracking? Until you reach a certain level of income. So if you're starting out, I'll say go for Roths,
Okay.
because you have better chances than that. Does that make sense? Because this will take a lot of money from you, and if you're not rich, all the, oh yeah, you can borrow from it, you can do all of these benefits that comes with it. If you don't have enough to put into it, and you don't have enough income coming in for you to be able to afford to pay $1,000, $1,500 every month contributing into it for the next 15 years, I know how it works. It's just not worth it, in my opinion.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
I hope I make it home safe. You know, if there's someone selling it.
We got security for you. All right, let's move on. So when you were speaking last week, and you touched on it again today, there was a lot of advice and encouragement to start investing. Now, some of us in the room have this, I wouldn't call it a fear, it's more like a perspective. When we hear investments, it seems really far-fetched. And it was very liberating for us to hear, for me, let me talk for myself, to hear that you could get into real estate with $1,000. Because when you hear real estate, you think tens of thousands, probably hundreds of thousands. So do you have some practical, in fact, when you were speaking about financial advisors being free, somebody in the audience said, where they at? Like, we want to know. So do you have some practical tips as to investment buckets that we can start when the next paycheck comes in right away with the lowest? I know you talked about S&P 500 on Robinhood. Maybe you could talk about that again, and then maybe a few others that you want to add.
Yeah, sure. There are a number of them, but don't take this as financial advice, okay? I'll start with that disclaimer. It's not a financial advice. Do your research and make your decision. But there are a number of them. The QQQ is also a good place to put money. Okay?
The what?
The QQQ, that's
Okay.
the name of that. The S&P 500 is also a good place to put money. There's a number of them available out there. The VOO, there's a few of them that actually helps you. That
You also talked about a website to buy small businesses.
Oh
What's
yeah,
that again?
I think it's called Biz Buy Sell.
Biz Buy Sell, right?
Biz
Okay.
Buy Sell. If you go on Biz Buy Sell, you can work with people, brokers that are ready to start business. They ask you to sign an NDA. You sign the NDA. You review the numbers of the document. You don't have to make any commitment yet. You review the numbers. You look at it. Does it make sense to you? Is their income, their expenses, is that looking good for you? Do you have a path to scale that business to make more money for yourself? And if all of that is true, why not? Financial advisors, you can go on Northwest Mutual. There are a lot of people on Northwest Mutual. One thing I'll warn you about financial advisors, though, is that they're trying to sell you something. Are you tracking? But if you know they're trying to sell you something, half of the battle is what?
One already, yeah.
You're tracking with me. So if you know they are trying to sell you something, I know you're trying to sell me something, and I'm not ready to buy. I know what I want to get from you. No matter how hard you sell,
I'm not buying.
I'm not buying. Are you tracking with me? They're trying to sell you this insurance product or that product or this account or that account. Are you tracking? But you can actually use them to get the information you need. I personally, as you start your journey, I'll recommend your investment journey. As you start it, I'll recommend go with a financial advisor. It makes your life a lot easier. Morgan Stanley is also a good place. They have a lot of great financial advisors as well. There was a time I was playing, so like I said, you know, certified troublemaker. So my financial advisor was running our portfolio accounts, and I had another investment account that was running myself. So every quarter when I meet with my financial advisor, I'm like, I made more than you this month. What's going on? You're the professional. And the whole idea is just to jack him up a little bit and say, hey, are we taking less risk, or what does that look like? What a financial advisor would do for you is they would ask you questions, help you understand what is your risk appetites, to know what to recommend for you. Take, for example, I have a strong appetite for risk. My wife tells this joke. She still told it 2 or 3 days ago, no, two days ago to my sister. She tells it to anyone who cares to listen. In 2021, 20, I don't know, I did an investment, and I burnt about $400,000. Okay?
You bought what?
Let's just and it was just a good investment, right? It was a good investment if people were bad and whatever, right? But did that prevent me from going back to investing? No. You win some. The way I was able to get to that point was because I invested in some areas and I got the returns.
Yeah.
So when you go with that mindset that you win some, You're going to lose some, but you have to be able to weigh where is the loss and where is the what?
The gain.
The gain.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, let's go a bit deeper into 401k. Someone is asking, is it okay to let your job take just 1% on your 401k? Would that go a long way?
Okay, so we'll take it a step back. So are they matching you? If they are matching you, I would say no, because you're leaving money on the table.
So if they're matching,
if they are matching you dollar for dollar, what?
How much?
That's free money.
What's the percentage you should do?
As much as they are maxing, so if they are matching you 5%, put in 5%, and because for every 5% you put, they are also putting 5%. So that's free money you are leaving what? On the table. Because they've actually budgeted for that money. Whether you collect it or you take it or not, that money is already budgeted for you.
Yeah.
So take as much as you can. Because I promise you, the difference between 1% and 3 to 5% on your paycheck is probably about $100 or $200.
It is. So
if you look at it, if you invest $100 to get back $100 immediately, I'll take it.
Makes sense. I mean, talking about free money on the table, I mean, I think another recommendation, and I think you'd also recommend this, is for those of us who work in environments where there are certain benefits, you might want to ask your maybe financial team or HR what is there. Because I used to leave money on the table because I felt it doesn't matter. So for instance, my company would pay your internet fee if you're working from home every month, but I'm like, $75 is nothing. And I left that on the table for so long.
I'll give you another example. There was a time, a job I was doing, they were paying for gym reimbursement. She was going to the gym, I wasn't. I took that, put it on, I got reimbursed for it.
So maybe we can make those, findings and then apply for everything.
They will be very quiet about it.
Yes.
I promise you, they will be quiet about it.
They're always very quiet.
Take, for example, a lot of them has financial advisors for you. A lot of them have a lot of things on the table for you. But you're working there. You're sacrificing your life for them. Why not just take advantage of all those things they're putting on the table for you?
Yeah, thank you, sir. That makes sense. All right, let's go on. We're going to take every question, but I'm just trying to flow so the conversation it makes sense. Someone is asking, what are the steps to come out of debt from loans with and without interest, and you still have bills to pay? Story of all our lives.
Sorry, I was looking at my wife. Okay. So debt is real. Let's start with that. Do we all agree? It is real. When I came to this country, is it okay if I start?
Oh, yes, please.
When I came to this country from Nigeria, I think about 7 or 8 years ago, the relationship we had with debt in Nigeria was different than what is here. Do we all agree? We're a cash economy in Nigeria, and most African countries. But here, you have access. Cards. My recommendation will be, no matter how much interest it is, whether it has interest or not, I'll say, the Bible said, so it's not Abraham, the borrower will always be a slave. No, let's not use servant. Servant makes it sound nice.
More polished. Slave.
Yeah. No, if we use servant, it makes it look like, okay. Yeah, let's call it what is it? Slave to the lender. Now, there are different kinds of debts. There's good debts and bad debts, correct? We talked about it last week. Student loans could also be a good debt, even though a lot of people say it's a bad debt, correct? What kinds of student loan? If you go to get, I don't know if we have any hats person here. I'm assuming we don't. That's why I always go for fine hats people. If you go in debt, Abraham goes to school to study fine hats. My handwriting is terrible. Let's start from my handwriting. I cannot draw. Well, maybe I'll become lucky and become one of the 0.00% that can take paint and just splash it on the wall
and sell
or
it for
stick
$1
a
million.
banana on the wall. But the chances of that happening is what? you know, why do I want to take that chance? I'll say start with the lowest balance and the ones with the highest interest. Are you tracking?
Paying back your debt, right? The lowest balance, highest interest.
Correct.
Do you want to put it in the? Oh, okay. All right. Do you want to grab a mic so we can hear you? Okay.
I've tried everything. I've invested. I have properties with a S, but I have businesses. I have a restaurant. I have everything. My hand is everywhere. My life is everywhere. I'm at a point right now that I want to sell everything.
Why?
Okay. One of my mortgages is like almost $6,000. My head is everywhere. I can afford it. I'm okay. But I've been pissed off my head. So some of the properties cash. Some of them have tenants that pays. But I was like, if I sell everything and pay off this house, some I have 300,000 equity. You know, should I sell everything, pay off my primary home? Let me just be flying all over the world and work less and be happy. And so I'm in that crossroads where should I sell everything to split this world off? Let's be smiling, dancing, and I don't know.
I'll answer two ways. I'll give you a politically correct answer. And if you would like to talk one-on-one, I'll give you a personal answer. And I'll tell you why. The reason I'll give you a politically correct answer is because I don't understand all the dynamics. Are you tracking? There's a lot of other things that include in the pressure, the businesses, and we have to talk through that. That's why I said if we talk one-on-one, I'll ask some question, I gain better insights. But the politically correct answer I will give is, if that's the stage you're in right now, where you feel like all the businesses and all of this is stretching you so much and you feel being pulled from different directions, it's okay to sell everything, take an audit, pause, and go back out.
Again.
That's also okay, without knowing all the details. But I would say that it's okay. Like sometimes we get a lot emotionally attached to businesses and investments. I've been when I was losing some of those funds that I was losing a couple years ago. She was singing and saying, "Get out of it," right? But you know, I was very attached. Are we tracking? I felt like she was anti my passion. You know, I was going on, and I kept. So if you would like to talk more, we can have a conversation about it.
All right. So thank you so much for that. What we're going to do now is we're going to just run through. So like I said before, I was trying to bundle the related questions together, but we're almost out of time, but we'll take every question. So I'll just keep running through the questions. So the next question I see here says, what are your thoughts on the traditional contribution system, Agile? Yeah, what are they? Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
I used to do it up until about 4 years ago. It's a good way to get cash to start something, but it's also a good way to lose cash as well. It's integrity. If KJK comes to me and say, oh yeah, let's put funds together and do an investment. Instead, I'll ask him a question. Who are the people who are part of this? So, Pastor Femi's parts, your parts, right? And it gives mention people. I won't blink twice. I'll give the money to KJK. Are we tracking? You know why? I know him. And he knows them. Right? If someone brings something to you and you feel like questioning that person that brings it to you, you already have your answer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you cannot trust them enough, because it's a good way, you know, we talked about discipline a long time ago, right? Last week. We talked about discipline. This is one of the systems you can actually put in place to help yourself. You know why? Because you know if I've collected all the $20,000 or $30,000 to myself, are you tracking? If you're a person of integrity, I must what?
Contribute.
Pay.
Yeah.
So whether you like it or not, whether you're going to eat rice and beans or
Have to keep paying it.
you have to keep paying back.
So being able to manage that pressure, both sides of it, is where the answer lies. All right, cool. Next question is direct. What's your view to giving in church? What's your view on giving to church? That's the question.
So, Pastor Femi, are you ready? It's the members that asked to. Okay. I believe so much in giving. But at the same time, I believe in, you know, I mentioned earlier that God has made us stewards of our funds.
Yep.
I don't give to churches, missions that I don't think they're good stewards of the funds I'm given. Sorry, sir. I'm just being 100%. If I feel like the church or whichever organization are not being great stewards, I would not give. There's a follow-up question coming. That's my personal opinion, and that's my personal belief. We are, let me not say hi, we are outrageously generous people. Okay? We believe that when we give, we get. Because there are few things in the Bible where the Bible says there's conditions attached to it, right? And you get the direct results. It's not salvation related or anything related. I'm sorry for a second. Let me go there. The Bible says if either gives to the poor, does what? Lends to the Lord. It's not conditioned on your salvation.
It was even before salvation was in operation.
Thank you. So when you give to the poor, who do you lend to?
The Lord.
Well, God
He
never.
doesn't owe.
He said, heaven and earth will pass away. But what?
My word will not.
So when you believe that and you give, you're coming from a place of, I know I will get it back.
Yes, sir.
But here's the tricky part. When the Bible says, sorry, I'm not a pastor, but is it okay if I say some things? Okay. The Bible says that when we give, let's not give grudgingly. Nor of what? Necessity. A lot of us gives from a place of what? Grudge.
Duty,
Or compulsion when it comes to it. So we're giving to people who are actually in need that we should get blessings back from. But you're like, I'm only doing it so they don't
say
they don't say I'm not doing it. Are we tracking?
Yes,
so when you do it from a place of, I'm doing it because I know what I'm not doing it because I'm expecting something back. I'm doing it because something happened yesterday. We were having a conversation at my sister's. I'll use people that I know very close to them. My sister, we're having a conversation about giving. And I said to them, he said, my brother-in-law had said, I said, there are some people that gives, they like giving, right? And they don't have anything to show for it or something like that. And I said, sometimes when we give, we are giving from a hole within us. And when we give from that hole and we give to someone, there's a hole inside of us we are trying to fill. No amount of giving you're going to give is going to fill that hole. Only God can fill that hole.
Yeah.
But a lot of us disguise our giving to fill that hole. Because when you give to people, the response you get back from them makes you feel some certain way. And it gives you pleasure. But that pleasure you're getting from it is the entire return on your investment.
You could teach a whole session on that, I could tell. Can we celebrate the answer from Mr. Abraham on that? Super. All right. So, I heard you say there was a follow-up question in the house.
Yes, I think he had his hand.
You had a follow-up question? Yeah, we could take it.
How do I know if the church has been a good steward? So I'll give you an example. The church that we are, Global Impact, I'm going to make a generic assumption, okay? I'm going to make a generic statement. Global Impact Maryland invited me to come today, right? To speak to us on finances. I personally believe this is one way the church is showing they're good stewards of the time of the people and the resources of the people. I think where the heart of the church is and where the spending or the expense of the church is shows you the heart of them. You get what that's what I like. Take, for example, what is our core beliefs? What do we invest in as a church? Are we all about aesthetics? What are we about? You see what I'm saying? Is it grounded in the Word of God? Now, I'll go back to say a counter statement. As much as I'm looking out for the church being a steward of that finances, I as a person, I need to know what it means to be grounded in the first place. If not, you become very emotional. I'll look at what they're spending money on. Does that make sense?
And just to add to that, I mean, I'm a member of this church and not any other church. One of the practices we have imbibed over the year is every crossover service, we would usually display in the most respectful detail possible the expense and income of the church every year. Nothing to hide. I never knew that until I came here, so I think that's also another way. So that's 2 checks for this church in that regard. All right, let's keep going. We're out of time, but we will take all the questions. Is that okay for us to do? And then we can. Okay, cool. We have just like 3 or 4 questions, and that should be enough time to go over that. Someone has asked this question, but it's related to the Minister Laddie's question, and I think you answered that in a politically correct way. It says if you have some good debts and also some rental properties, the question is it okay to sell one house to pay off your debts? So I think that's related to what you said.
I'll add a little caveat to that, okay? If that's okay. So you say you have a good debts and you have a bad debts. If you're considering selling a rental property to pay off a bad debts, is that rental property really a good debts? Are you tracking? I'll give you an example. One of our philosophy today is we're not waiting for our rental properties to pay off our income. It's okay for it to just make 200, 300 and pay the mortgage on it. Are we tracking? That's okay. That's one strategy for us today. Are we all tracking? But where it gets tricky is because I know that particular property, I have one in mind right now I'm thinking about, doesn't really make as much, right? If I'm to buy that property again, I wouldn't consider it a good investment for me. You get where I'm going? So I'll say, before you go sell the rental property to pay off the debts, I'll say, speak to a professional to look at the numbers.
Okay.
before you make that decision, because you might think you're trying to help and you end up
you're
hurting
complicating
yourself.
the situation. All right, cool.
Because
Thank
you have to pay taxes. So there are a lot of things that you have to calculate and make account for. How long have you owned it? Taxes on it is different. There's a number of, it's tricky. So before you want to go use that to pay off your debts, you have to weigh all the options before you get yourself in more trouble. I don't know who asked that question, but that's what I'm leaning towards.
All right, cool. Thank you. Next question says, is it okay to be paying $2,000 for renting an apartment, or just buy a house instead?
Okay, so a lot of people think buying a property is a good investment. It may or may not be a good investment for you. Let's start with that. If you're paying $2,000 and that's what you can afford, stay at that rental property or that rent. Because if anything spoils in the house you are buying, it's on you. It's not that if anything spoils, it's when it spoils. I'll give you a story. Last year, one of our rental property had HVAC sweating, right? And I was saying, it's just HVAC sweating. Then it became moldy a little bit. And tenants called and we went. I was like, it's just HVAC, it's just water, right? $25,000. Are you tracking? Imagine you live in that house by yourself. Are you tracking? So you have to weigh it and do the economics for yourself. I always recommend, if you're going to buy a house, have a little bucket for expenses. Do the maths. Look at your budget. There's always places to move things around.
Okay, thank you.
That's right.
Oh, there's another. Maybe let's take it quickly.
Oh, it doesn't cover HVAC sweating. It doesn't cover mold. Once they hear mold, they take you out. Once they hear mold, insurance tells you, we don't want to touch it. Because with mold, as they start opening it, they have to trace it to the source and fix it. That's the problem. So homeowners insurance is amazing. Homeowners is great, but they will not cover everything.
Okay.
That's my
So
concern.
there's a question here that I would read it as it is. I'm struggling to understand it, but maybe it's just me. It says, if you're given $1,200 in your credit, how much is good to spend in a month and the credit won't go bad? I don't understand the question, but if you're the one who wrote it, you could quickly edit it and then we would ask again, because we have two more questions.
Let me try to interpret that question.
Okay.
If you have a $1,200 credit on your limits, how much can you spend without your credits, without it impacting your credit? That's what I think.
That's probably it, yeah.
Okay. So if that's the question, my answer is, I hope we all know the difference between your due dates and your statement dates. Are we tracking? If you know the difference between your due dates and your statement dates, you can spend all $1,200 by your due dates, but make sure you pay it off before the statement date. Because what happened on the statement dates is whatever is on your credit card that day
goes into your report, your credit report.
So once you understand that, all those activities and those expenses will let the bank qualify you for more credits, but you have to be disciplined enough
to pay back.
To pay it off.
Okay, cool. Two more questions. Is it okay to have my spouse on my credit card if his credit is good also? Is it okay to have my spouse on my credit if his credit is good also?
I'll answer it in two ways. I'll use myself as an example. I'm a Nigerian. I'm very proud sometimes. Okay? So I opened a credit card in 2018, 17, I don't remember, with Bank of America. And they gave me a limit of, this was 17 when I came into the country. They gave me a credit limit of $500. And I was using the credit card well. Anytime I need to buy gas, I used to buy the gas. You know, I was trying to build my credit. I'm telling this story important. And I paid off every time, so they increased my limit to about 1,000 or whatever. or 1,500. Oh, good. Every expenses by the statement dates, 0. There was a day the annual fee of the credit card came off on that card, but because I didn't use it, I didn't go back and what? And check. So they took me to collection, over $25. Okay? Like I said, a proud Nigerian, okay? When they called, transferred me to their risk department, I was so upset. Don't you see my history? I'm closing this account today. They closed it. Credit score went. And I had to rely on my beautiful wife's credits and credit history to get up. Are we tracking? She has amazing credits. My credit sucks. I have over 5 million. My credit sucks. My recommendation will be, it depends on where you guys are going financially. I'll give you an example. We keep my wife's credit clean for a reason. But if we add that to everything, if my credit is sinking and tanking, not because I have no consumer debts, okay? But if anything happens, we can leverage. Are we tracking?
Yeah.
And if you understand the game of how credit works, you don't want to sink yourself together. So I'll say, since you said your spouse has great credits and you have great credits, keep building.
Oh.
Because if your wife qualifies for a $50,000 credit, you qualify for a 50,000 credits. How much do you have?
100,000. Cool. All right. Last question here, and we'll be done for today. It's tax season. What is your opinion on including your giving and donations when filing your taxes?
She's laughing. God bless America. Every October of every year, I check how much we've given. Are we tracking? Because when you give, I was going to keep that one very simple, but I was going to share a secret. When we give, it helps us with our taxes. Because we make decent income, and unfortunately, because of the decent income we make, we get so what I've seen rather is tax giving and being generous has its benefits. Okay? So when I say being outrageously generous, it also has its own benefits. That's why we can decide to say we want to open a shelter. Right? It has its tax advantage. I put my giving in church on my tax returns. And it helps me. Not only the giving to church, the giving to charity. It goes a long way to help you. It's back to, are you a steward of your finances? So, to answer that question, yes. And I've not seen anything in the scripture yet, except Pastor Femi tells me that something is wrong with it. But so far, I've not seen anything in the scripture against it. Because it's part of the law that says, hey, if you give to a 501c organization, it's tax what? Deductible. And the church is what? A 501c. And they give that to me. Why would I take all of that and put it on the table? Now, mind you, it's not every giving that would help you. I'm not talking about the church now. I'm talking about charity giving.
Yeah. All right. Mm-hmm.
I think what you just said is very profound. One year,
100%.